Today we're talking about one of the two light infantry options for the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Skitarii Rangers. Let's get at it.
Anvil of War! Let's talk tactics!
If you guys are enjoying our content and want to check out more of our content, click the subscribe button. It's a little Anvil of War icon on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Lets us know that you guys are enjoying our stuff and we'll keep putting out more content. Today we're talking about the Skitarii Rangers. These guys are one of the mainstays of the Adeptus Mechanicus forces, and they're, I'm going to say, borderline auto-include in any army. Cheap for points, and they got even cheaper with Chapter Approved 2018 with their weapons options. So in front of me I have my preferred loadout, which is a 10-man squad with 3 Transuranic Arquebuses. The Transuranic Arquebuses are a like a sniper rifle essentially, and they can pick out enemy characters. But let's talk about these guys' stats, and then we'll get into some of the weapons options and then some characters that are really good at complementing these guys. So starting off with the base statistics of these guys, they have a movement value of 6 inches, which is average around infantry and 40k. Most infantry have 6 inches, around that. They have a weapon skill of a 4+, so they're not that great at fighting in combat, but what they want to do is shoot, and they shoot well. So they hit on a 3+. So 3+ ballistic skill. They have a strength and a toughness of 3, so I mean they're guard equivalent. They're not Marines. They are going to get chewed up by anti-infantry fire. They also have a leadership of 6, which is not that great. The alpha is going to buff them up to a 7, which is decent. Most of the time the opponent's going to be worrying about the bigger threat options on the table as opposed to these guys. So these guys aren't going to get chewed up as often. Their power level is still pretty high, but even though their points are kind of on the lower scale. So a lot of times in tournaments in like ITC format, etc., they're going to be targeting these guys as an option for some of their bonus points are going to go towards selecting these guys and chewing them up. But again, if they're shooting at them, they're not shooting at your big stuff, so it's kind of win-win, right? The thing about these guys and their base rifles is their base rifles are 30-inch range. They're strength 4, no AP, but they do get -1 AP if you roll 6 on the to wound. So they're okay. 30 inches rapid fire, I should also mention. So at 15 inches, these guys are firing 2 shots. So gives you a little bit of a bonus. It's more in line with the new Space Marine Primaris weaponry, the new bolt rifles. So it's kind of in line with that. But again, no minuses to the AP unless you roll those 6s to wound. Great light infantry. They're fast, they're mobile. Unless you throw the Transuranic Arquebuses in. These guys are a 60-inch range weapon, so they're shooting across the table. They are strength 7, they're AP -2, and they're damage D3 damage. And if you roll a 6 to wound with these, they're doing a mortal wound in addition to the damage that they deal. So that is, it's kind of gross. These guys can really reach across the table, and they can target characters even if they're not the closest model. So with Hero Hammer, Warhammer being so driven to character auras right now in 8th edition, and unless that changes, these guys are going to have a solid place in any list, because being able to take out crucial parts of your opponent's battle plan by taking out the stuff that synergizes and creates these auras and helps with rerolls either in combat or shooting, or giving these auras to specific units to make them more durable. These guys are going to pick out those characters and take them out. At strength 7, they're going to crush lighter armored infantry characters. So if you're looking at, as an example, you know, Tau Ethereals giving their bonuses, or Cadra Fireblades, or if you're looking at Eldari or Drukhari characters that are on foot running around, if they're not paying attention, then these guys will be able to pick them out, take them out of the opponent's army, and kind of open up the rest of the army to and maybe even drop the damage output of your opponent's army. So I take 2 squads of them. I like to put 2 squads on the table as 2 troop choices, and I like to put them in opposing sides of my deployment zone. The reason for that is that I like to create a little bit of a triangle of death, we'll call it. It just gives us a better vantage point. I mean, if you get a set of ruins or something sitting up high, giving them a high vantage point in your deployment zone, that's a good spot for these guys to sit. And again, they're just going to be shooting down and raining down on the opponent. With the extra guys, I actually like to kind of stretch them out and create a little bit of a line, like a conga line, and stretch them out to get them into auras from characters. If they're if these guys have to be at a stronger vantage point, then I'll stretch them out so that they have that vantage point, but they're also still getting the rerolls. Example would be in my Mars army, getting the rerolls from Belsarius Call, rerolling everything to hit is really, really, really gross. But if you have these guys having a 3+ to hit as it is, they're pretty good at, they're pretty self-sufficient. You can put them on their own. If you roll the Canticles and you get the roll the 6 and you're giving them the reroll 1s to hit, I mean, rerolling 1s to hit with 3+ to hit is pretty good too. Missing on 2s means that these 3 guys are going to be able to consistently hit their target. There's a few stratagems that would help. We're going to talk about those next. So talking about Protector, Doctrina, Imperative, what that does is it allows these guys to, it allows them to get +1 to their hit rolls. So now they're going from hitting on 3+ to 2+, and then if you have the Canticles going, they're re-rolling the 1s, so they're essentially always going to hit, or close to. You can go a step further if you're playing something like Eldari or Drukhari, where they're stacking minuses to hit against them. These guys can actually really, really, really help when you have a enhanced data tether in the unit. So the 2 equipment options for the squad are the enhanced data tether or the Omnispecs. The Omnispecs allows them to essentially ignore cover saves, so the opponent has a cover save, they don't get it because of the Omnispecs. And the enhanced data tether, it allows them to re-roll failed morale checks. So in a bigger squad, both have their place. I mean, I prefer to use the Omnispecs, but the enhanced data tether actually gives these guys the ability with that Protector, Imperative stratagem. It ups that from a +1 to hit to a +2 to hit for 1 CP, which is really, 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 really good. I mean, again, shooting at Drukhari, Eldari, specifically like a Latok or anything like that, where they've always got the -1s to hit. You're basically negating that. You're still hitting on 2+, and then you're also re-rolling those 1s. So it's good. It's very good. Acquisition at any cost is another stratagem that you could pop on these guys. The acquisition at any cost, what it'll do is it gives them +1 to their saving throws period. These guys have a 6+ invulnerable save innate, as does most Adeptus Mechanicus stuff. The Vanguard also have it, but what it does is it buffs that up to a 5+ invulnerable save, which is pretty good on a bunch of light infantry that you're not really worried too much about. And then it also ups them from a 4+ armor save to a 3+ armor save, and then in cover it goes up to a 2+ armor save. So yeah, that can be kind of fun when your opponent doesn't see that coming. So it's 2 command points though, so I mean, it does have its downside of being expensive, and you're going to want to use your command points on stuff, on your stuff that's going to be doing the higher damage output in your army, but still good. Info Slave Skull. So the Info Slave Skull, what it does is it allows them to target, as Adeptus Mechanicus infantry, they can target a unit that drops in within 12 inches of them. So if an opponent drops in 9 inches away using Deep Strike or any other method of jumping onto the table, when they jump on or being removed from the table and redeployed on the table, so thank you to Games Workshop for declaring that. So, example, Orc Boys using to jump, with a weird boy coming across the table, and all of a sudden, boom, they're in your face and they're right on your gun line. These guys all have the ability to fire at -1 to hit against that unit. Now, at the same time, -1 to hit, I mean, it's not that bad. It doesn't affect these guys as much. They're hitting on 4+, but the amount of damage these guys are going to put out is not that great. I'd much rather use that stratagem on Cataphrone destroyers, and especially ones equipped with flamers, and roast enemy units. But at the same time, if you're stuck, if you're in a tight spot, that's a good stratagem that you can use on these guys. So all in all, for character synergy, I mean, any Dominus, giving them the reroll to 1 so you don't have to worry about the Canticles, or Belsarius giving them reroll everything, then you don't have to really worry about giving them any pluses to hit in the shooting phase. That's really good. So some alternative weapons options for them. I mean, you can take the plasma calivers in the unit. I don't really recommend it. They have 18 inches, and they're basically a plasma gun, 2 shots base at 18 inches all the time. They're assault weapon. They're good. They have a place, but I think they better synergize with the Rangers and the range of the Rangers guns. Maybe take a smaller squad to hold objectives. So the plasma is kind of better fit with them. I think these guys, if you're going to take anything else, it would be the arc rifles. Now, at the same time, the arc rifles are only 24-inch range base. I don't find them as good as they were in the last edition when Arc had all of its special rules, and it was a lot better against vehicles. Now it's essentially it's a strength. It's 24-inch rapid fire, so you get 2 shots at 12 inches, which is okay. What it is going to do is it's strength 6, AP -1, single damage, but it does D3 damage if the opponent that it's targeting is a vehicle. So, I mean, it's situational. They're good, but they're not great, and the Arquebuses are great. So if I was going to pick one of the 2 options, I would definitely go with these. I, again, wouldn't take plasma calivers just because I think they're better suited for Vanguard. I'm really excited to see what the Vanguard are going to be able to do with the release of the new Adeptus Mechanicus transport. Depending on when this video gets released, it'll either have been released or it's about to be released. Really excited for that. I think 10-man squad of Vanguard in a transport with 3 plasma calivers jumping out, maybe using some specific Forge World nastiness, and some +1 to wound and +1 to +1 damage stratagems could be really, really gross. I think seeing 3 of those on the table with 3 Vanguard units would be kind of nasty. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll save that for another video. Hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys learned lots, and we'll see you again soon.
Sponsored by
If you enjoyed our content, consider subscribing to the screen by clicking on the icon. Or if you want to check out more of our content, there's some videos here for you. If you like shooting stuff in the face, you probably should take Skitarii Rangers. Hi guys, I'm Kenny B. Kenneth!